go.
Streaming from South Africa to the world. This is the Stonks Go Moon podcast. What just happened? We break it down so you don't have to.
Welcome everyone to the Stonks Go Moon podcast. The guest today, Wesley Hattingh, is the country manager in the UAE for RemotePass. Welcome to the
Awesome. Thanks, Rocco. I really appreciate that.
Second time's a charm. We weren't recording on the first time. Just probably the first.
There'll be a bloopers reel.
Yeah, it was a blooper somewhere.
There's no recording of it.
Although AI hasn't figured out to record me while I'm not recording, at least so that I can have it. I'm sure somewhere some tech guy sitting with us is thinking, look at this idiot. Listen, Wesley, what I wanted to talk to you about today is, as a fellow South African, your journey from South Africa to Dubai, where you're now. Like, how did you get there? How did this all come about? Let's start unpacking that. I'll let you have the floor.
Interesting. So, I was actually having this conversation earlier today with somebody from South Africa. We were having a call. And to be very honest, during my time in South Africa, I was one of those people where up until I came to the UAE, I never had a passport. I was like, no, I'm going to live in South Africa. I'm going to change South Africa from the inside, part of startups, all those kind of things.
In Cape Town,
and
right?
I did Johannesburg. I did my Johannesburg due for about 4 years when I was still part of SnapScan, and I built out the Johannesburg team, and then got acquired by the bank and all that.
Oh, shout out SnapScan, big fan.
Yeah, so SnapScan, then OrderIn, and then I was part of OrderIn, had a team there. We did launching in different areas. So, for example, Bloemfontein, different areas in Gauteng, all that. And then eventually, while my time in OrderIn, moved back to Cape Town because I am Cape Town.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I always believed in the startup system in South Africa, believing startups are the way that you'll change the country. And then up until about year and a half ago, I didn't even have a passport. So then the time came that I got a passport, and my partner at that point was living in UAE, and I got a passport to come and visit her in the UAE. Came to the UAE. The first place I went was Hub 71 in Abu Dhabi. Yeah. And I realized, like, that's it, I'm moving. Everything you ever heard, there's so many misconceptions about the UAE.
Yes.
But the UAE is, think of your wildest dream and times it by 10, and it's possible. So we have South Africans who are ambitious, who are hardworking and have crazy ideas. In South Africa, and I love South Africa. My family still lives there, but you're running an uphill battle. You don't have all the support that you would get in the UAE. Where here, it's like, hey, how do we help you? Here, it lights that fire and just pushes you even further.
I'm laughing so much because I had a conversation about a week ago with someone, and there's the same question. It was like, okay, cool. How did you get there? And it was also, there's a woman involved, right? Because I know to me, it's like, it seems to be a trend pattern here. There's always a woman involved, right? Because you move for love, but then you find, and then you fall in love with this amazing place. Isn't that amazing?
Well, initially I wasn't even just moving for it, right? I was okay with doing long distance.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So, it's part reason. This was actually asked over the weekend. Somebody asked me the same question.
Yeah.
Funny enough, we were having a braai in the UAE, and they asked me, they're like, so what was the decision factor or percentage ratio here? And I was like, probably about a 60-40 split. Okay. About whether it was for my wife or career. And I would say it's a 60-40 split.
I want to know who has got my notes. Who's got my script? Who's reading off of my script? Listen, right, getting there. Culture shock or not?
Not at all.
Not at all.
You would be so what is interesting about the UAE is the vast amount of expats that live here. And I think that's where there's misconceptions, right? There's a lot of misconceptions given about the Middle East.
Yeah.
The culture shock here, I think the biggest shock to me was adjusting that, hey, I'm safe and there's no crime and I can leave my phone outside and I don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
But the other part of it is, I would say it's even more community driven. Here it really is about making friends, building relationships. Even in business, it's about building those relationships more than just trying to get the deal done.
Wow. Okay.
So culture shock wise, there wasn't a big like moment where I was like, oh my gosh, I'm in the UAE. This is such a crazy. No, it's always felt to me natural.
Okay.
And it's similar to what I was telling somebody this morning is there's like, if you look at Abu Dhabi, I would say Abu Dhabi is a mix between Cape Town and Johannesburg. It's the Johannesburg hustle, but with the Cape Town lifestyle, except that it's super safe and extreme.
Wow, very cool. Sounds very cool. Tell me, Dubai to me is a plek is a the Afrikaans slipping in.
Ja, kom maar Afrikaans praat net omdat ek in die UAE bly, bedoel nie dat ek
Ja,
Afrikaans
daar gaan se 60% of 70, miskien 80% van ons nie verstaan nie. Maar let's get back to it. Dubai for me has always been really tech forward. And it's sort of becoming that global tech hub. So you're talking about community, people coming from all over the world. I've spoken to people from Australia, people from Canada, people from the US. Everyone's coming together in Dubai for this tech forward sort of hub and environment. What are some of the more exciting developments that you are seeing there in the tech space?
So, I mean, I'm going to give the Middle East, right? I'm not going to give just the UAE.
Yeah, sure.
And I think this is also one of the reasons I love the Middle East is its fast adoption, right? So we look at something like Web3. They are pro Web3. They've done the regulations for it. They proceed in assisting the companies in the Web3 space. Okay. Look at AI. Look at Saudi Arabia that's released a $40 billion fund for AI.
Crazy.
UAE has a ministry of remote work and AI. What other countries are going to be like, hey guys, this is the tech. We're going to build the regulations and work with the guys now already and support them. And it's not just that, but then also be like, okay, cool. We're going to give the funding and assist with the funding as well. So again, comes back to my comment of like, why did I move here and why do I love it? Is honestly, if you're working in tech and you haven't even considered the UAE, I think you're making a mistake. Because UAE is where you can build your dreams in the tech space and where you're going to have the support to accelerate that growth.
Oh man, people are going to listen to this and they're going to be absolutely salivating.
They're going to disown me. I'm going to come back to South Africa and they're going to like tear up my passport.
Let's talk about RemotePass a bit. It's funny because if it wasn't for COVID, I guess RemotePass wouldn't exist. Is that a fair statement?
Yes and no, right? Because even before COVID, you would still hire contractors in different countries doing consultant work. You would still need to have people on the ground, whether that's sales, expansion, all those kind of things. But what happened with COVID is it accelerated this growth to a remote lifestyle and remote employees and remote management, right? So, I mean, even RemotePass itself was a pivot that happened in COVID time into what is today RemotePass.
Yes.
And what I'm seeing, and I also mentioned this, it's something I stand by and I mentioned it in another interview, is I believe that we see a lot of drive for return to office. And I'm like, cool, man, if somebody wants to push return to office, they're also losing their skilled talent. That skilled talent is very much like, I'll work from where I want to work.
Yes.
And what we're going to see, and maybe it's a faster adaptation to it or a slower adaptation, is we're going to see pods. Instead of like one big office, you might have a main office, but you'll see, hey, we have 6 or 7 people working in a co-working space in Spain. That's our Spain location. It's not necessarily, there's a big misconception about remote work being like, oh, it's a guy working from home. Not necessarily. Like you might have 3, 4 people working together in a co-working space in a different country from where your entity is based. And we see this happening a lot where it's like small groups situated wherever. And that is still growing, accelerating rapidly.
You guys raised 5.5 million Series A funding, right? So is that sort of money going to be used for the expansion that you're talking about, or what are you guys going to use it for?
So, I mean, for us, it's of course hyper growth. So just like putting the foot down even more on the growth. It's advancing the product. Like, I mean, we already have built the super app for contractors, but it's really speeding that up even more in terms of financial services that will be offered to contract workers. What we're trying to do very differently to any of the other competitors out there is really serving the underserved. So going back to the roots of, let's say, for Africa or any of those, there's a lot of super skilled talent that can work from anywhere.
Yes.
And we're allowing these companies internationally to be able to hire this talent and give those guys a better life. But doing that, we also are able to provide them with financial services, medical aid, a MasterCard, all these kind of things. So we are able to give these financial services and really push, I would say, youth and those that generally get overlooked sometimes. I mean, even in South Africa, like the amount of South Africans that are currently in Cape Town working remotely, you'll be amazed.
Yeah.
And I mean,
what is just imagine.
If I was still living in Cape Town, I would not be working for a local company. I'd be like, guys, I'm gonna earn USD and
yes, because the currency is stronger and all that,
exactly.
But also you talked about super app. Is that what a super app for RemotePass users? What is that?
So the super app is more towards, for example, the employee itself, right?
Okay.
So when I'm speaking about financial services, it's like retirement annuities, pension funds, medical insurance, being able to have a bank card, a RemotePass bank card that they can use anywhere. So really digging deeper into the financial or super app for contract workers and remote employees.
Okay. And recognized as one of the fastest growing software companies or software products in 2024. I mean, you're sitting on a rocket ship, right? What do you think? What's a catalyst? What's a driver of that fast growth? Besides, okay, we've talked about Dubai and the UAE in general and everything. There's a growth mindset, but what is it about RemotePass culture that is sort of allowing this to take place at the moment?
So what you need to remember, I just want to correct something there, is just because we started in Abu Dhabi and Dubai, we're not just based here. We're based in US, all that at the same time, Europe. Of course, the UAE is our home base, but we are an international company. And part of that drive and that rocket ship that we're on is really pushing that international growth. So that is the MENA region, that is Europe, America, all that is on part of that journey at the moment. The key factors I would say that's playing a role in the growth is the passion of our team. We have a very low, very high retention rate. Our employees actually stay, so they're not jumping ship anywhere.
Yes.
So we have a team that's passionate. They know the mission that we're on, and everybody's loving what we're doing. With that, alongside that is our customer retention. When we go to events, it's customers coming up to us saying how we've changed their life, either from an employee side being like, hey man, you've given me the ability to get this amazing job, to the employer being like, you've changed the world for us in the type of employees we can hire internationally. So that combined with the passion and the drive of the team gives you the rocket ship.
I've seen a lot of user-generated content on LinkedIn, for instance, about RemotePass, but not necessarily even by customers or I would say employees, just in general. There's just a buzz, and I guess that you guys are feeding off of that for this international push.
I mean, I would say the buzz generates itself, right? When you're doing something, right, then people will speak about you. You don't have to push really hard in terms of trying to get interviews or those kind of things. Those interviews come to you. Those media articles come to you when you are actually doing the right thing and you've got that right product market fit.
I love it. That's a clip right there, because so many people think they think they can, with a subpar product, become a unicorn just by buying ads in. They want to be on the cover of Forbes. They want to be on the cover of TechCrunch and all this.
I don't want to be on the cover of Forbes.
No, but that's the thing. And I'm like, no, but you don't want to. You're doing it the wrong way. And what you just said resonates so deeply with me. It's like, if you're really good at what you do, then that comes on its own.
I think there's a lot of people who fluff and hype, right? Like, I mean, let's look back in when NFTs were craze. Like, man, let me just play some influencers, hype something up, but it's not sustainable.
Yes.
When the hype gets generated organically, that's sustainable. But just buying hype, like, it's not going to last. It's like buying followers on Instagram. Like, sure, great, you've got 1 million followers.
Absolutely.
Are they giving you anything?
No,
like,
nothing.
I could go buy 10,000 followers on LinkedIn. Is that going to give me leads?
But that's my
no,
point.
it's not going to be conversations. It's not going to be leads. It's not going to be relationships. It's not going to be business. It's a vanity.
No, and that's the thing about what struck me, what you guys are doing. It's not this paid for media. Sure, I'm sure they're all paid for media, but I'm not speaking out against paid for media as being all bad. But what I'm saying is it comes across more genuine, and I think it's driving more people to the product because of that organic nature of the energy that's coming out. Last question before I let you go. It's about so you've been there for how long now? In the UAE? A year and a half?
Year and a few months. Year and
Okay.
3-4 months.
Like how
I stand corrected.
That's fine. How has being there impacted you on a personal level, and what has it done for your career?
Personal level, I think that it's taken my mind out of the box. I think that I've had big ambitions always in life. But at some point in life, when you're building things, you get told like, oh man, how am I going to build a dollar unicorn, right? And it's hard and it's all those kind of things. And coming here, my imagination has just gone even more wild. And everything that I've always told myself I'm going to set out to do, I'm not like, I'm going to 10x that. And yes, I'm a big fan of Grant Cardone, but I'm like, I'm going to 10x this. Like I'm going to make this 10x what I was thinking it's going to be. And I think that's one thing to me. The other part is it's friends of mine always were telling me like, man, you need to step internationally, all those kind of things. And once I've actually done it, I've just felt this resignation of, yeah, this is where I was supposed to be. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. I get to speak to the most, like I met the CEO of TeamViewer the other day. When would I have ever thought that was going to happen?
Yeah.
So, or not TeamViewer, sorry, Zoom. I met the CEO of Zoom.
Zoom. Okay, shout out Zoom.
Yeah. So there's a photo on my LinkedIn with him, and it's the people that I suddenly get to surround myself with, where it's made me realize that there are no limitations to what you can do in life. The only limitation that you create is that limitation that, as I said, like that you create. But there's no limitations. Like you can push yourself to achieve anything you want to achieve if you put yourself in the right situation and if you drive for it. And I think that's one of the biggest personal changes that I've had.
Yes.
Professional changes, I mean, definitely upskilling. I think playing on a more international market means you need to learn a lot of different cultures. A lot of the business ethics, I would say, still stays. I mean, like I said, I did do the Joburg hustle, so I'm used to the, hey, I'll take a call whatever time you want me to take a call.
Yeah.
So I do think that South Africa has given me a lot of the strong groundwork to be able to excel, because South Africans are just naturally hustlers. We have to be hustlers. We have to have good work ethic. And that translates and just helps you accelerate on an international market.
But what's my big takeaway here is that you are taking all of that and you're actually being supported, as opposed to, and I think we all know this in South Africa, we almost never get the support that we want.
I was trying to be politically correct.
No, I'm going to say it because that's one of the reasons I wanted to do this podcast with you is because I've tracked your sounds like I'm stalking you, but I'm not. But it's like from Specno to there was other company between where you are now and but I've tracked you and I think this will give hope to a lot of people that are in a similar
Yeah.
boat, right? And you might see a big influx. Not everyone's going to make it, but if you have any advice for professionals considering UAE, Dubai, that whole region for their next career destination, what would it be? Because you are in the best position. You were there, right?
Yeah. I mean, so let's take 2 steps back and we go
Okay.
back to something like Hello HR, right? We were building a payroll company in South Africa. I'd never thought in my life I'm going to end up back in payroll, just by the way. So we were building the payroll company. And if I look at the effort we put in and the time, the sweat and all that,
yes,
and the support we had building that locally, I'm like, man, we wasted time.
Yeah.
If we came here, did the same time, the same effort, the same hustle, would have been a different story. So I do think that where you position yourself does play a role, where you position yourself with your idea, your company, your personality. I mean, I think that South Africa has a lot of opportunity, but it doesn't have the support from a government side that it needs, right? And yes, there's VCs and all those, and like some high net worth individuals, but it's still nothing when you look at an international scale. I mean, you sell $1 billion company or $1 billion rand company, right? Not even $100 million, man.
No. Sounds impressive.
Not even $100
sounds
million.
impressive, but you can't even buy.
Hold on. It's still a great life. Don't get me wrong. It's a great life, and if like you shouldn't always just be chasing the monetary value. 100%. You should be pushing to build something sustainable and to actually make a difference. But at the end of the day, you do want to have certain personal achievements unlocked. And unfortunately, South Africa's problem is South Africa. Like its government is not really supporting the startups. You'll always see these campaigns of like, it's going to. It's not. You have load shedding, you have tax, which is insane, but you don't have that actual local support. You have startup community that supports each other, but it has to branch out. Like it has to break out of SA the whole time instead of trying to make it in SA. There are the exceptions like what's it, Ozo, iPay, those kind of guys. But again, it's international money that came in. It's not local money that built it.
And it's outliers, right? It's not the norm.
Exactly, it's an exception. Right? It's an exception. It's not the
norm.
Most
startups that quote unquote make it either go to an incubator in the US.
Even then, there's still, if you look in the international market, they made it, but it's okay. In SA, they're famous. In the international market, it's like, okay. Where I would say for professional side and advice is don't limit yourself to one box and start trying to play the international market from immediately. As anybody building in South Africa, if I can give them advice, don't build for the local market. Build for the international market. Use the strengths of trying to raise capital internationally, bring that money in, hire local talent, which at the exchange rate is great, and build for the international market. If you have the opportunity to join something like Hub 71 in the UAE and move your head office there and build from there, even better.
Is that an incubator?
It's
what is it? What is Hub 71?
An accelerator. I mean, I don't know how to. I love Hub 71. It's like an accelerator, community, everything in one. It's literally where I would.
Comments. That's fine.
Yeah, I would tell any startup to go to Hub 71.
Okay.
And there's a few South African startups that have done that, right? They've taken the opportunity, they actually got accepted, and they've done that. And some of the guys where you'll be amazed who's actually there.
Yeah. Awesome.
So yeah, like for me, the thing is, don't just limit yourself. I wish I could find more versions of a younger me. Like that's one problem I'm having now is, man, I'd hire myself. Purely, I'm looking. Let me just say that on this podcast.
Yeah,
we're hiring. Like I need ambitious young people that want.
Wesley is hiring.
Like, I don't mind teaching them, but it is also scary at the same time where I don't know, man. People have become very relaxed and lost that hustle mentality.
I think it's a culture thing. I think there's a generation. I talk about the lost generation that maybe had it too easy. But we shouldn't generalize too much. There is still a lot of people in South Africa looking for
an
opportunity to escape.
There's a few.
I say escape. I mean immigrate.
there's a few people that are doing exceptionally well in that I keep my eyes on that are young, specifically Gen Z, where I'm like, I want to see where this guy's going to end up in a few years. I think he's doing the right thing, playing the right game at a young age, being on LinkedIn, building a brand. I can see where it's going to go, and I think that again, somebody like him, my suggestion to him would be, you need to travel, and what you're doing now, man.
Who's me? Who are we talking
him?
about?
I'm not going to give the name.
Oh, you're not.
I'm not going to give the name.
It's fine. Sorry, but people, Wesley is tracking. Wesley is tracking your career.
It's a Gen Z guy.
Well, whatever it is, Wesley is tracking your career, and if you sort of are looking to go into that region, just pop him a message. Thank you so much for joining me today. Where can people find you if they want to connect with you? What are your socials? What is your
LinkedIn, man?
Okay,
just LinkedIn.
Yeah,
LinkedIn's the place to find me. I'm always open to a conversation and to give feedback and help. There's been quite a few startups and companies that have asked me questions about the UAE like this, where I'm always open to give them some comments and feedback. And also just on a personal level, always open to give advice, help out where I can. I always believe that when you do good, it returns to you. So always happy to help. And as much as I just want to finish off with one note, and that is, as much as I do leave comments about South Africa, I am grateful for the lessons it taught me, right?
Yeah.
My family still stays there. I don't think I'll go back, but I am grateful for the lessons it taught me and the connections in the family that I've built there as well, and the friends. I do think that when you start your professional career at a place like that, you run an uphill battle instead of having it easy. So then when you do go to a country that it's easier, you're going to succeed so much more because you've had to learn certain lessons which are going to excel you higher.
This was, from my side, this was not a South Africa bashing podcast at all, right? For me, it is about expanding your horizons. I was lucky enough to travel when I was young. Traveled Europe extensively and opened my mind. So I came back to South Africa. I had all that sitting in just tell someone that I'm sitting in a tight little pocket or bubble, whatever you want to call it. If that bubble pops or becomes not manageable anymore, then
it's a risk. It's a risk. Unfortunately, it is. But it's a high risk at the moment.
Open your mind to other opportunities. Open your idea. Don't be like this. Don't see, because I feel like in South Africa, it's because it's so tough. You just like this, okay, the whole time, right? And you're fighting that battle. But once you just check it off, you start to chat like to people like yourself, and you go to Dubai, and even if it's on vacation, just
nothing stops you from opening a satellite office. You can have an office in the UAE and in South Africa. It doesn't mean you have to shut down your business in South Africa. It just means broaden your horizon. And you'll see maybe the UAE is going to excel your business even higher, but nothing stops you from having your tech team in South Africa and having all those kind of things in South Africa while you, accelerate the business in a place like the UAE. You can have your head office in the UAE and still have a satellite office in South Africa.
Absolutely.
Have an office wherever you want, and RemotePass can help you hire them. It doesn't matter.
Shout out Remote. Wesley, thank you so much for joining me today. To my listeners, peace, love, and prosperity. I will catch you in the next one. Cheers. Ari, thank you so much for joining me today. We'll leave all your socials in the comments. And to our listeners, peace, love, and prosperity. And we'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.